Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate you all showing up. So today we're talking about, again, mentioned best practices of live streaming. So why I'm speaking, who I am. So I've been doing streaming since '98. One of the first, one of many people in the first in the industry. Um, was actually working for a company that was owned by Interview, who became Akamai in 2000. Been doing major productions for American Bar Association, the Discovery.com launch, and several others. So I've been designing systems, designing workflows for several years. So the first questions on best practice of streaming is, what do you do? Are you a single camera shooter? Are you the guys who do a running gun? Are you a full webcast engineer and encoder? Or are you a complete service? Next obvious question is, who is your audience? That's the most important thing from all things, is who are you streaming to? The next thing is, what are your formats? So the next question is how do you want to deliver? A video platform like Ustream, a CDN like Akamai and the various ones, or do you use a distribution server? Then next thing is, do you currently use hardware, software, encoders? Obviously, you look around the whole event here, there are a lot of great encoding companies around here. So next thing is complexity or high saturation. I'll jump in more in here. This is my little best tip. My best practices tip is always set high complexity, high saturation for that extra pop in your videos. The next thing is, what is your video? Are you going to go after the low bandwidth issues, or are you going to go after the quality and allow this system to adjust for what your situation is? And the next thing is, what are you shooting? Are you talking heads? Are you sporting events? There's a variety of things out there. This is the key thing to know for best practices, is content will determine what you need to do and how you encode and stream. So I come from production. So my background is, and I'm a former broadcast engineer. So people don't realize, do you white balance? Yes. Do you black balance? Probably not. Black balance actually will help set your white level and your black level. If you only set your white balance, your black level can be all over the place. You never hear that crisp, clean pop. Your white will become more gray. Then, like I said, one of my little tips, high complexity, high saturation. So when you have an encoder, you definitely want to set your settings for encoding to high complexity, high saturation. So just imagine you have your old handy cam, little thing, your old consumer level camera. It's a nice little camera versus an HD camera. High complexity, you have more information to work with. So think about it that way. Are you shooting high 8 or are you shooting HD? If you have more complexity, you obviously have that more compression. Even if you drop the bitrate down to nothing, because the frame has so much more complexity to work with, the overall encoding and delivery will be seen much more crisp. So you always want to start with a high complexity encode, so you can deliver out, even on low bandwidth, a crisp image. If you go with low complexity, you have nothing to work with. Even if you drop your bandwidth down, that's when you start getting the pixelation. That's where the term people used to go, it's okay, it's only for the web. Never say that for me. It's not for the web. You're shooting stuff for, legacy, for forever. It doesn't matter if you're shooting for the internet, for TV, for film. You always shoot the highest quality, then you figure out how you want to deliver. Next is color saturation. So a lot of people still are having settings for the old CRTs. They don't realize, I'm on a progressive screen. I'm going to do things other. Set your color saturation a little bit richer. That when you start processing and being delivered, you'll have the extra image, the extra pop. Because if a CRT are more flat versus LCD, so you want that richness. Because you see people who have the richness versus other videos who have that flat look. I'm sure you've all seen different websites you've gone through. It's like, yeah, video's okay, it doesn't look great though. Set a little trick on production, change your color saturation. It'll help out with your delivery actually. Obviously, your adaptive. This thing is your adaptive delivery tricks, your keyframes. You definitely want to set your keyframe so that way at low intervals, so that way if something does happen in delivery, it'll readjust. Basically, if you're doing HLS, you're basically making smaller chunks. So obviously, bitrate, how you organize your bitrate for adaptive delivery. A lot of customers, people always assume, well, I want to set the whole thing for 1080p. I want to deliver no, set your delivery to a lower bitrate then it'll adjust up. You never want to go in high first and have adjust down because sometimes they get stuck in a continuous loop because they can't set. If you go in low, the mechanisms will recognize how to adjust and go up versus going down, like the Netflix effect. When you go in on Netflix, you see it looks okay, then all of a sudden it improves. If you go in at 1080p or 720, it will never connect, but maybe you don't have the bandwidth, so it'll keep dumping out, and all of a sudden you'll have the failure. So obviously the next thing is, how do you want to deliver? So this is a key thing is, we have a lot of people out there who want to build their own, server solution, their own delivery. It's a great way to go. But at the same time is, online video platforms will be end to end. They'll allow you to do encoding, transcoding, and delivery, all taken care of. It's all depending on what you want to do. So next thing is also mentioned on here, the portable units. So, as you see out there, you have Minicaster, you have Teradek, these little portable units that are camera built encoders. Great if you're going to run and gun. So you'd have to distribute out to out a CDN or content delivery because you're not going to have a built-in server. Versus like Haivision and the other encoder companies, they can actually handle a million streams, well, not a million streams, but a lot of streams. You still recommended to use a CDN or online video platform. So one key thing, so when you do our streaming, I always recommend having redundant streams, have failovers. So that means if you do it right, you'll have multiple encoders and multiple ISPs. Your encoders have to be the exact same encoders. You can have a primary master encoder, then a failover encoder. Just something happens, you have a backup stream. So CDNs do fail, streams do fail, ISPs do fail. So how do you get around this issue? You have two ISPs. You have rerouted differently, so you don't have, on an early delivery, a single point of failure. So backup streams are very, very important. All right. So you want to do various formats and sizes. Do you want one format and have on the fly transcoding for the customer, or do you want to do an MBR and send in multiple stuff and have more video upload? So there are a lot of different options out there. Just remember, every mobile device has its own decoder chip built into it. So you can actually take advantage. You can do a cloud transcoding, make it designed for all devices, then the device itself will customize it for that device versus forcing things out. You don't have to do a complete customization for every device. You do a general setting and it'll make it fit properly for it. Okay. So as I mentioned, with the overall platform, like with Ustream, we do allow, the IBM Cloud, we do allow live and VOD ingest. The whole workflow here, you want the transcoding to multiple bit rate, and your output is the adaptive bit rate. So one thing we also have is an intelligent player. This is kind of any platform you're with, you should really look at Nexus and a few other companies out there that offer this service for you. So what it is, you want to be able to make adjustments. If your player in your network sees an issue with storage or server congestion or delivery, you want to be able to dynamically switch and have a high quality experience for your customers. That's why we actually have a built-in that if we see any issue, we dynamically change the CDN so you can keep going. Next route. All right. Again, multi-CDN. As I mentioned, you want to have more than one option. You don't want to have a situation where you're using a major CDN and they drop out. We saw this for the Grammys. We saw this for the Super Bowl on the stage. A major CDN, I'm not going to mention, died. Because of the thing. So you want to have failovers. You never know. You might have the next biggest thing out there doing some event, and you don't want to be a part of it when there's some stream down. You don't want to be the guy to take down the network. You know. So again, cloud transcoding. Any service you get should definitely have cloud transcoding. Send up that one high quality source that'll take care of it for you. It'll save you on your bandwidth. This is why one thing we're known for is doing this is because we have customers that have great encoders out there, but the whole thing is if you're in a remote location, you're at a hotel, you're at a convention center, your bandwidth's not great here. So why not send one stream up let the service provider transcode for you and give you the multiple resolutions and bit rate for all devices. Okay. So actually some of the customers we actually work with on a variety of things. So they all follow these similar practices in overall webcasting. Sorry. Things got changed. Oops. So, one second.